Mysterious Stonework of the Northeastern U.S. with Josh Smart. You are listening to Brothers of the Serpent podcast.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is Brothers of the Serpent podcast, and we are coming to you not live from the 10x10x10 tangent cube of science, nestled amongst the dusty bones of an ancient seabed high atop the Edwards Plateau. And we've got a great show for you guys tonight. We had an interview with Josh Smart from Vermont. He's been looking at mysterious stone structures on the mountainsides and in the forests of Vermont up there, and it's a really fascinating presentation he gave to us. So I encourage everyone to, if you listen to it, you should also go check it out on YouTube, because we did make video of the whole thing, because he had an excellent slideshow of he said over 100 images, I think, that he showed us.
Really? He showed us 100
Was
images?
it over 100? Yeah.
Wow.
Didn't he tell us how many pictures it was?
I don't know.
And I was like, we usually get through like 30.
Well, it was great. Yeah, you should definitely watch it.
Maybe it wasn't 100, but it was a lot.
It's hard to describe a lot of the stuff that we're looking at. Just the style of stonework and all that kind of stuff. You need to see it, especially if you live in that area.
Yeah. Yeah, and his methods for finding them and then going and looking for them were great.
Yeah,
so I think that anybody who lives in the area who's interested in doing this kind of thing, you can learn a lot from just watching Josh's presentation and seeing how he does it. So for the past 2 weeks, we've published like 3+ hour shows.
Yeah.
Right, so we're trying to break that habit. This show is already over 2 hours, so we're going to have a short intro here. Kyle's got one news story. I've got Space Weather News, and then we're going to jump right into the interview. So let's go ahead and do Space Weather News. From spaceweather.com, we are between solar wind streams. Earth is in a void between solar wind streams. Quiet conditions are expected to prevail until the next stream arrives on January 16th. This forecast could be upended by a solar flare. The sun is dotted with 3 numbered sunspot groups and a 4th unnumbered region now emerging. So unexpected explosions could occur at any time. Current conditions, solar wind speed is 370 kilometers per second. The density is 7.3 protons per cubic centimeter. Current sunspot number is 51. The neutron count is 7.5% above the space age average, and the KP index is 1, which is very quiet, and the 24-hour max is 2, which is in the middle of the quiet range. And there's your Space Weather News.
All right, and this is I'm just gonna wing it here. This is from phys.org. About 90% of all the lead on Earth was made in low-mass stars that also produce elements such as strontium and barium. Barium? This ability to produce more metals changes depending on the composition of a star at its birth. Introducing just a tiny bit more metal into the star's gas has really large implications on stars' evolution. Scientists wrote a paper modeling from the earlier paper. I've just skipped to the middle of this story. Sorry, folks. Trying to get to the gist of it here. They basically discovered that the heavy metals being produced by stars, that basically, like, once they produce so many heavy metals, the heavy metals that they've produced themselves prevent the stars from producing more heavy metal. And the reason I brought this up is because the point is heavy metal is going to cause its own death. The more heavy metal there is, the less heavy metal can be made. So be careful out there, you heavy metalists.
Soraya will not be happy to hear that.
Yeah. I tried to find a piece in the middle of the article that would actually tell us why, but I failed at that.
You failed at that.
Too much heavy metal stops stars producing more heavy metal. That's basically the headline.
That's great. Where's our...
Yeah, I haven't done that with that.
Crypto update. Bitcoin is $42,546.12, and Ethereum is at $3,221.88.
It's crazy to say that that's a buyer's market.
Yeah, I know.
You know? I mean, it wasn't too long ago we were like, wow, it's $3,000 for Bitcoin.
Yeah,
Jeez.
that's a lot. Yeah. Yep. But it is. Buy now. That's low. That's as low as it's been in a long time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoy this conversation we had with Josh. I certainly did.
Yep.
It was eye-opening. You know, some of you may know from listening to the older shows, Kyle and I have been up in Vermont. We've looked at some of this stuff. But he lives there, works there, drives there all the time. So he's had a lot more opportunities to really dig in and find these areas. And the stuff he's found is just absolutely fascinating. And some of it's really beautiful. So hope you guys enjoy. Here's our conversation with Josh Smart. Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by Josh Smart. He is, where exactly are you based out of?
Windsor, Vermont.
Okay, in Vermont. And he's joining us to talk about the root cellars that he's been looking at up there. All the Colonial root cellars, right? That's what they are. So yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got interested in this? And I know you sent in an excellent email that we read on the show a while back about you getting into your research, but why don't you kind of retell that story for people?
All right. Well, kind of start off, I went to the Azores, and while I was there, I saw some stone chambers over there and a lot of stone walls that looked very familiar to like stonework over here. And at the time I was reading America Before, learning about the chambers here. So I kind of wanted to go out and see if I could find some myself. And I did. Then as I started researching it more, it kind of led me to you guys with your Vermont episode from, I think, that spring of 2000 or 2020. And then you guys are talking about it. It's like, all right, well, there must be more out there. Then I contacted one of you guys about it and see where you guys went, and found out the site I went to was not the site that you guys went to. So that led to more questions. So I just started like poking around, trying to find some answers, like what's out there. And then you guys had an episode with Glenn.
Yep.
Up in New York, and he posted his Facebook page, and I joined that group. And then it's kind of like snowballed because I wasn't sure what I was finding. I was asking questions. Then I was looking for answers for myself, and it just like. I kept finding things and kept just going out and searching, and I don't know, just progressed.
So how are you finding stuff? Were you looking on maps? Were you talking to people?
Talking to people. Then I found that the state of Vermont has a LiDAR map, so I was using that as well.
Wow.
That's why I started finding a lot more things, because I was looking for chambers, and I started finding other things on the LiDAR map, and then that's when things really like started moving. I was like, there's got to be more out there. And then I kept looking and kept finding more.
That's awesome. Why do you think they did that LiDAR map in the first place?
For the state?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really interactive. Like you can select multiple like different LiDAR maps. You can see where like tree coverage is, power lines, roads, houses.
Wow.
And like wetlands, stuff like that.
I wish we'd have known about that when we were up there.
Well, after we got back, somebody pointed it out. Maybe it was somebody in the Discord had sent a link like, hey, there's a LiDAR map of Vermont. So I actually looked up Smith Farm on there, and you can see a lot of the structures that we walked on and stuff. Because I had an actual survey map that was done by some team. I had a copy of it, and I was looking on the LiDAR, and sure enough, like all the mounds that they had laid out are there in the LiDAR. So that's cool. That's really awesome, man. So how many have you found? How many have you inspected yourself?
Chambers?
Yeah.
Just two.
Two of the chambers?
I think maybe a few more, but they're buried.
So, Have you been going up to them during the solstices or the equinoxes?
Yep. I made it to one this solstice. Last year I wanted to go, but we got 4 feet of snow in one storm, so couldn't really get to it.
Right.
But this year lucked out. It was actually like a nice sunny day. It was kind of warm and there was no snow at all. So I was able to like get right down into the chamber.
Nice. So you're involved with groups up there. Like, do you interact with them a lot, or is it just for finding sites, or do you guys share research?
I share research with other people, like other researchers in the area.
Yeah.
And part of NERA, which is forget the whole name of it, but it's a group that's been around since the 60s researching sites like this, and they're all throughout New England. And I've been talking to the Vermont director of NERA and just trying to organize for her to come down and check out some sites.
So what's their idea about how they were made or who made them? Do they have a consensus on that?
Well, they've been doing a lot of OSL dating on a lot of like chambers and stone constructions, and they're finding a lot of them are pre-contact. So Native Americans or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Nice.
Awesome.
What kind of dating did you say they were using?
OSL.
Optical
stimulated luminescence dating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Some dates are like 2000 BC.
Wow.
Man,
Yeah.
that's
a lot older than colonial times for sure.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So you got some pictures for us, or what's the deal? Lay it on me.
Yeah, I do. All right.
Let's see what you got.
All right.
Show
I'll do a
me
screen
what
share.
you got. Oh, and the watcher says that was episode 116, Stone Chambers of Vermont.
Yeah. We also talked to Linda. Was it Linda Zimmerman?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, she looks around New York.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Did you give him share permission there?
Do we have to give him share permission?
I don't know.
Just record.
I think so.
Oh, is it telling you can't share?
Yeah.
Oh. Is it up here?
Yeah. Maybe not.
Should be able to share.
All right.
Green button at the bottom there.
Yep.
Yeah, all participants. can
Okay.
share. Should be
Okay.
Good. Yeah, should be good to go.
One second.
Classic.
Sorry, never done this before.
Yeah, no problem.
No worries. Got a little bit of Vermont internet connection over there.
Yeah. High speed dial up.
Yeah, that's what I had when I was
Using a
there.
rotary phone.
Yep. I'm using dial-up internet at the office in Vermont. I remember, and I had no idea, right? It's dial-up. It's from the office, whatever. And I needed to download something to my office computer, so I left it downloading overnight because dial-up takes forever.
Yeah.
And man, I got bitched out because since it was a
so-
business number, they're getting charged by the minute.
So it says quit and reopen.
What? Really?
So
Yeah.
on Zoom, when you
Oh, hang on. I think I got it.
the little green button at the bottom where you see
Yep.
chat and all that.
There we go. I got it.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right.
Deny. Deny.
All right. All right. Got it.
Yeah, we can see it now.
All right.
Oh wow.
Make that full
Yeah,
screen.
That's a good one.
That is in the Azores.
What?
Yep. This is in a duck pond park in the Azores. This is why I saw this because I went to Teresina Island and I kind of did I was looking around for off the beaten path tourist stuff to do.
Yeah.
And one of them was to go look at the megaliths. And this isn't one of them. This is just one I just stumbled upon. But you can tell it looks kind of like the chambers around here.
Yeah.
That's why when I started seeing things around here, I started questioning because I'm like, this looks just like the Azores, and I'll show you. then a lot of walls like that too around the Azores, heavily buried, covered in moss.
That's beautiful.
And you see a lot of roads like that around here too. It's like they're just, you see walls, but they're just like completely buried.
Right.
So I was like, and you know, two different cultures. A lot of the walls around here are said to be colonial, and this is the Portuguese. And I don't know, it just led to questions. But then I started looking around trying to find chambers, and I was told about this one. That's calendar 2.
Yeah.
That looks familiar.
Yeah, in Woodstock. Funny thing is, I was working in 2012 in this neighborhood, and we drove by, and one of the guys we're working with, he goes, "Yeah, there's the Viking chamber down there."
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Yeah. But the weird thing was, the house we're working on had a bunch of weird stonework behind it. And I'm like, well, if there's stonework like kind of similar to this, if this is that old, the stonework behind that house could be tied in with whoever made this.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, there's got to be more out there. So then I started looking in the stone chambers, and I found this is the interior.
Yep.
Just see huge slabs.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's a big room.
Yeah, and then there's the little light, like that.
Yeah.
The skylight in the back
chimney
there.
thing back there. Yep.
Yeah. This is and this doorway is open to the winter solstice sunrise. But
I wonder if there's some kind of astronomical alignment with that little skylight too.
I think it goes winter solstice and then the summer solstice sunset. It's like lined up together. Don't quote me on that.
Well, but it wouldn't. But that skylight is like pointed straight up, so it would have to be something.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. It's cool though.
But then I found out about, well, I was looking in the stone chambers. I found this paper from the Historical Society, and it's about stone chambers.
Ah.
And this is what caught my eye. This is the county I live in. I live in Windsor County, and there's 31 of them.
Wow.
I was like, whoa. There's a lot. Then, so I started looking more into Windsor County, like, why is there so many? And actually, like, Windsor County has some of the most stonework in New England, and just this like small county. So I was like, wow, I work in Windsor County and I traveled all the time. So I was like, I can just drive around and see what I can find.
It's awesome. 31.
Yeah, so you're in the hot spot.
I am in the hot spot. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But then I found the chamber. I had the LiDAR map, and I knew what the chamber looked like on the LiDAR map. So I started looking around, and I didn't really have anything to base off where to look. But I work next to this area, and this is called the Paleo Field right here in Ludlow, Vermont. And they found projectile points dating back to like the Clovis era, the Paleo Indians. This is one of the points they found there.
God, look at that.
Look at that.
Beautiful.
So I'm like, all right, well, it's a long, rich history in this area. So I'll start looking around. And I go on the LiDAR map, and within the area, this is the LiDAR map right here. And you can see it has a lot of different options over here. So you can get really detailed. Like you can do contours, see the land elevation and wetlands, see if it was used for farming. It's a really good resource.
That's awesome.
And this is what I found around that paleo field. Are these weird
Yeah, I see them. Geoforms.
land. Yeah. I contacted the state geologist, and they said they were glacial deposits. But I didn't tell them about some of the stuff I found around them. Like this right here. I'll show you next time. Next one. These are walls.
Oh.
And these are like the land masses, or
Almost like
really
mounds.
Yeah.
Like, those remind me of like some of the mounds that are in the. I'm trying to remember the name of the book, but monuments in North America or whatever. There's all these weird.
Yeah, the Mississippi Valley mounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of what I was thinking too. But this is label this one wall A, and that's wall B. That's wall A. This is facing the possible mound, and this is facing the field on the other side. From the field, you barely see this.
Okay.
From this side, this is about 3-4 feet tall.
Yeah.
And it zigzags. And at the far end of the wall, water is running through it. You can see where the wall used to be, and the water has pushed away the wall over time.
Yeah.
And where it used to be, you can see quartz. Like the bottom of the wall was lined with quartz.
Wow.
And so I started seeing this, and I was like, what am I looking at here?
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense, you know?
Yeah. And so when we were up there doing, walking around looking at this stuff, it was very similar. Like on one side, it's almost like the wall is working as a retaining wall. It's holding back. It's holding in all this. And it's hard to tell, like, was it designed for this, or has all this stuff washed up against it over time? So that now that one side is completely buried, but if you can drop down on the other side and you can actually see the wall, it's hard to know, like, were they built as retaining walls, or is this just something that happened over time?
Yeah, that's the question.
Yeah.
It's like, you could date this by just digging down and doing like carbon dating.
Right.
Or OSL dating too. Then this is wall B. This is much more buried.
Right.
But it's about the same width as the other wall, so I'm guessing it's probably around the same height.
Yeah.
But this one just has a lot more debris. Then on this one right here, you see that round shape right there?
Uh-huh.
There's the wall B and that round shape right next to it.
Wow, dude, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're trying to say that this is like glacial moraine or
glacial deposits.
Yeah. But
they don't look like glacial deposits I've ever seen.
No.
I feel like we've looked at a lot of those on Cosmographia. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't remember ever seeing any with square, with sharp corners.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
And stonework in between it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what. Then I contacted the state archaeologist. I shared this information with them, and he said it was interesting. They'll come check out when they're in the area. Now it was almost 2 years ago. So I was sitting there waiting. I was thinking about calendar 2 and like the stonework in that area. Then this. And I'm like, all right, there might be more out there. So I was driving around one day. I noticed this. This is a boulder with the stonework kind of rolling down it, and looks like it's been placed.
Yes,
sure does.
Like that. Then I'm looking at this, and it kind of looks like a face, like a reptile
snake.
face.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have eye here, nose, mouth, and there's a little creek right here, and this is a road right next to it, and there's a creek over on this side as well. And following this wall up, this is the backside of that same boulder.
Oh,
There's
wow,
a
it's
bunch of quartz on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of the work in this area, if it like kind of looks like a reptile or some kind of animal, it's usually just one side. The other side is not worked, or doesn't look like anything really.
Yeah.
Like this, but that quartz is huge.
Oh yeah.
And this, that same wall that follows the creek goes up. Then this wall jolts out of the side and goes up to this boulder.
Another big
and
boulder.
just ends.
Yeah.
And ends there.
That's so freaking cool, dude.
Well,
What is going on?
Go back to that other one though, because one thing I want to point out with that is those. Those are leaning up against a tree.
Yeah.
So if they were stacked like that, they're leaning against that tree, right? So I don't know.
That tree is just growing up.
It's growing up.
Yeah.
It seems like it should have pushed them over. I don't know. This is one thing I wondered about this, because we looked at some of these mounds and they had trees growing out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see usually the trees were destroying that part of the mound somehow. They were breaking it, or they're pushing it around. They're moving rocks around.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tell like what's happening there. Like would those rocks stay that way if that tree wasn't there?
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
But and this section of the wall, a lot of it has been eroded because it's on like the like a creek bed.
Yeah.
Embankment, and a lot of it's washed down over time.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
So it even could have fallen towards the tree.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Then this is right up the road from that one. This, again, kind of looks like a reptile head, but this one has a standing stone in the back of it.
Wow. Oh, yeah, I see it.
Yeah, and there's a pretty even gap right here in the back of it. And right here, that's a little creek, and there's stonework up behind it right here.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, and I think, next one, the same locations right here. There's the creek and stonework. And yeah, and this is why I started.
Go back again. Okay. I want to see that. The upper right picture is the one that really shows you, to me, the one right there on the upper right. You can see the big boulder, and then there's that flat stone standing behind it. It's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
All right.
It almost looks like a hand.
It does. Yeah.
That standing stone.
And this is LiDAR map of the area. So the first one with the wall, then the other wall going to the other boulder is this area right here. Then the standing stone one is right here. And I've been able to check out a lot of stonework up in here. Over here is still a lot more. I haven't checked that out because that's all private land.
Yeah.
But then this is one of the things I was questioning, like, is this colonial? Because when you think colonial wall, you think something like this right here.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Built.
That looks modern.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or something like that.
Yep.
Pretty high to keep animals in. But again, kind of neatly built.
Yeah.
But what I'm seeing in the area is walls like this. They look kind of like disorganized and just like thrown together, but they're really well built, and they have gaps in them. And then you see, like, as you look out more, you can kind of see like patterns in them, like this right here. Rock kind of flows down.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And flows on top right there. Then you have, it kind of looks like an eye.
Yeah, I see that.
Dude, that is really cool. Wow.
Then the landscape these walls are in super rocky hillside.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the question we had. Why would you bother?
Right.
You know, I mean, I can understand there's the idea, well, you know, they had a land parcel, so they just built the wall, and all it was to mark, like, this is the end of your property. That kind of stuff. But I don't know. It's some of them they're not square, right? There's just a short section of wall and nothing else. And it's like, well, that guy didn't have much property, or he had an infinite amount of property on this side.
Yeah.
Well, this wall right here just keeps going, and then it just gets buried. It goes from pretty tall, then just like disappears into the landscape. And that's hard to capture because, like, I went during the summer for this photo, so like had photos of it, but it was hard to see.
Yeah.
But in this area, a lot of people say the walls were made because there was a lot of sheep around here, and they said the sheep were they built the stone walls because there was clear cut for the sheep, and they didn't have any wood for fencing. But you can see right here, that's the bedrock. A sheep can jump that.
Oh yeah, no problem. No problem.
Yep, we've had sheep.
Yeah,
that's
like,
weird though.
okay.
Like, okay, we clear cut this area for sheep, and now we don't have any wood for fences. Like,
yeah.
Wait a minute. What happened to all the wood that you cleared?
That's what I'm saying.
We burnt it for fires. It's cold.
I don't know what happened with the wood. But some more examples. That's a 12 by 18 piece of paper. That's 18 inches tall right there. And that is just a huge stone.
That's a huge one. Yeah.
And this wall, it starts at this corner right here, and it ends at outcrop of bedrock. You see the wall up here?
Yeah.
It ends right at that bedrock like that.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And and this is one of the things one of the first finds was this, and I'm looking at this, and I'm like, I've never seen anything like this.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, it's hard to understand when you're walking around in these things in the woods and you're just like, okay, I'm trying to think of how this could have been useful for normal applications like walls for animals or property lines, and it doesn't really make sense. They seem to meander and start randomly and end randomly, and they don't really make sense as boundary markers. I don't know.
They also don't make sense as farming, we got to plow this boulder field.
Right.
So let's take some small rocks and stack them up in a line and leave the giant boulders.
Right. On the steep side of this mountain.
Yeah, it's like, no, bro.
That's not what's happening.
That's not a farm.
That is not.
But we saw the same thing too. Is there were some rock stacks that were just amazing and extremely tall because it's like they were stacked on a steep slope that had a natural bedrock protruding from it, and so they were leaned up against. The whole rock stack was like leaned up against this giant. I mean, we saw one that was like at least 20 feet high.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it just had stacked rock all the way up to the top of that protruding bedrock. And I was like, wow, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one thing I started, like, when I started looking and finding more stonework. It reminded me of, there's a artist that works with stone and natural elements, Andy Goldsworthy. And that's all I could think of was like his work, but kind of more like primal.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But this right here, the area I was searching was along this Crown Point Road because I was finding markers for the Crown Point Road in the area. And I started researching the Crown Point Road, and I found out that the Crown Point Road was based off this right here, the Indian Road, which is the natural corridor between the Connecticut Valley and the Champlain Valley.
Oh.
So it's the connection between two major waterways. And it's kind of a story. The colonial people found out about it because the natives captured people down here at Fort Number 4 and took them across the Indian Road. And that's how they found out. That's how the Native Americans were going to gain up into Montreal. And they wanted to find that path because that's,
yeah,
there was conflicts and stuff like that. And Europe and, the British and French were going at each other.
Right. So that's originally an old Indian trail or path or road.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's really cool.
That is very interesting.
And a lot of the research I did into Crown Point Road, it made it seem like it was like a huge project by the military. It took years to do. Then I found a paper from the 1870s of a guy that researched it, and he found out it took 44 days to complete.
What?
I was like, oh, so that was pretty fast. All they did was widen it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, do you think it was actually worked on? Like they moved earth and stuff to make it originally, or is it natural? It's a natural pass.
It's a natural passageway. Then there's also, you'll see more examples of some of the terrain that I believe was the old Indian Road, but the colonial people gave up on it because it was too tough. They couldn't bring their carts and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
But this is in the area. This is a lime kiln. There's a lot of these in the area as well. And you can see they're more squared off, blocky.
Yep.
This is a small little area. This is actually right in the same area as the wall, this wall. Same property. And this is in the area again. This is colonial work. I believe this is a root cellar. You can see the door there.
Actual root cellar. All right.
Yeah.
So what do you think about those kilns? Do you think that they're colonial as well, or are they older?
I don't know what to think about They're kind of over the place. They did make a lot of lime here from lime mortar to make stone houses with.
Yeah.
This one, I looked for alignments. There was no alignments, and it's right on the road.
Hmm.
And the road's like right here.
Okay. Yeah, because we visited one that they were calling weren't they calling it a lime kiln?
Yeah.
It was, you had to go way up the mountainside
Yeah.
You know, I rode an ATV up there, but it was really big, and the owner of the property is fascinated by it, but he's pretty convinced it was Colonial as well. I don't know.
There's a lot of documentation of that being an industry in the area.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm going to stick with the standard reasoning for this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a root cellar. That's a root cellar. And I started looking around the area and asking people where to look. And I was told about this one area that had a lot of stone walls. So I was driving down it one day. Then I saw this.
Wow.
And this one looked different. For one, it has trees growing out of it.
Yeah.
It was heavily buried on top, and this is within a cellar hole, but it's a very odd cellar hole. It's very low over here. What I'm standing on is roughly probably 5 feet wide, and it's all stone. And this one was looked at in the 70s by NERA, and they think it was they say it was a root cellar or a chimney support for a house on the Crown Point Road. But when I was here, I was checking out alignments, and the opening for this is aligned to the winter solstice sunrise.
Oh, wow.
And this is the one I was able to go to a couple days before the winter solstice. And you can see here, this is all dry laid.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's no mortar, no nothing. And up here on the ceiling, I've been in caves before, and it kind of looked like a cave. It had like the crystallization of a cave.
Oh, okay. Yep.
But this is the winter solstice sunrise right here.
Wow. Look at
Nice.
Yeah.
that. That's awesome, dude.
It gets a little bit more crazy. Yeah, I'm reading Graham Hancock Underworld,
Oh, yeah.
and he's talking about Malta, and when he saw the chamber, when the sunrise, the sun was already, you could see the sun, but all of a sudden a light switch turned on and that thing appeared. Kind of like the way he was describing the sunrise there was the same thing I saw here.
Yeah. That's really
awesome.
amazing.
And that's the outer wall. That's the 5 foot thick wall right there.
Oh, okay. That's what you were
And,
standing
well-
on when you took the picture looking down at it? Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying? Yeah, okay.
Then I went back here about a week ago just to double check some things. And we got snow since then. And I think this was built in order to keep this snow free.
Ah.
Because, you get a lot of wind-blown snow, and it can fill up a chamber like this. So if you put it down in like a hole and protect it from wind hitting it, it would stay dry during the winter, so you can see the effect that I'm going to show you guys in a second.
Wow.
And also, when I was waiting for the sunrise, I got there very early. I didn't think it took about 50 minutes more than I thought it would. So I was walking around and I realized there's 3 stages of stonework, and this thing is kind of built up in stages to this one point.
Huh.
Man, that's awesome.
But this,
Yeah, look at that.
it goes right down with like the roof and the wall where it meets.
So cool. Huh.
And that's creating a little shape right there. And these two right here create that effect.
Those shadows and that line, they look like the Easter Island heads.
Yeah.
Like that.
Right here.
Those two guys. Man, that is like a really similar shape.
This right here, I think, is a horned serpent, representation of a horned serpent. And I'll show you in this photo. You can see it here. You got the head, then the scaly body right there.
Okay. I'm not good at seeing stuff like this, but I think I can tell what you're talking about.
Well, this is the hole in Serpent. You can see it right here.
Yeah.
Kind of like a drawn up one.
Okay. Now I think I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. And that line right there, that's a tree. That tree was in there, would be one solid
Right.
light. But yeah, these two right here are creating that shape down here.
Right.
Oh.
With the horn.
And you can see that was moved up. And like that stone right there it was moved, I think, to make that look.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy to see. I was like, wow. So I don't think this is a root cellar.
So this is 4 days before the solstice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The alignment for the sun is pretty much, it doesn't really move around that much within a couple days.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a lot of stonework around here kind of looks like serpents. And a lot of them are around waterways. They zigzag, they move around the landscape.
Okay.
Then that's why
at
first yeah.
That's a really
at first
good one.
I kept hearing about serpent walls and I was like, okay, I haven't seen one. And I saw this one.
Yeah.
That is incredible right there.
That's amazing.
That is
So for those of you listening, he's looking across this river and there's a rock wall like undulating over the hills and then it just ends in a giant triangular boulder sitting in the water. It's awesome.
Yeah, it definitely looks like a snake sliding into the water from the land.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And behind it is all boulders.
Yeah, steep hill with boulders. It doesn't seem very farmy.
No.
Is it break time?
Then,
How long have we been going here?
Oh, probably. Show me more. let me check. Yeah, I just forgot to start the sands of time. And we're 40 minutes in.
Yeah, all right. Let's take a quick break. This is great stuff, Josh. Thank you so much.
All right.
We'll be right back.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, Brothers of the Serpent podcast, here with Josh Smart. And still going through this presentation that he has of lots of photos. So for those of you listening, you probably should go watch the video once it's up. Because this is really cool stuff.
Yeah, we need to try to remember to do more audio explanations of what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, and by the way, really good photos because I have a collection of photos from when we were up there. Obviously, we were up there when there was a lot of green. But I just found it incredibly difficult to capture these things in any type of, like the way they really looked to me standing there. It always seemed like the light, coming through the trees, casting shadows. Just it was really hard to get any pictures that looked good. And all these are really good.
Yeah.
So. Good job, bro.
Thank you.
All right. Continue.
All right.
And I'm open this beer.
Cheers.
Cheers, buddy.
But like I was saying, I was hearing about serpent walls on like some of the groups, but I haven't seen any. Then I saw this one. And I was like, all right, well, there might be something to this. Then I started seeing them. They're this one right here.
Oh yeah.
This is a mountainside, very rocky mountainside, and behind me is a road, the Crown Point Road, then a river. There's no reason for that wall to really be there, and it ends at a giant boulder.
Right.
Then again, another one. This wall right here starts right here on the edge of a little tiny mountain stream and goes up probably 50 yards and just ends. But it starts right there
At the boulder.
I think there might be some, big boulder, then some interesting stonework on top of it as well.
Yeah, that round stone on the top could be a protruding eye. It looks like sort of maybe a big triangular or at least a pointed boulder there, maybe.
Yeah.
Yep, looks like a snake eye.
Well, this one, I found a standing stone. Again, this is right next to the Black River on Crown Point Road, old Indian Road. I was driving one day, I look over and I see a little standing stone, and right at the mouth of this river that connects to the Black River. I was like, that's kind of interesting. Then thought about it, looked on LiDAR map, saw it's a stonework up here, so I decided to walk up the riverbed, and I saw this right here. And you see there's a stonework that starts right at the edge of the creek here and comes out into the creek itself, gaps over a little waterfall, and sits on a stone pile in the middle of the water.
Yeah.
And it kind of looks like the stonework again looks like the interior of the chamber, scaly.
Yeah, it does.
And next photo is standing right here. That's water flowing through it.
That's beautiful.
And that might be an eyeball.
Man, that is amazing.
You can see the
big lintel.
Yeah, huge. But you can see it goes down this far, and that's all soil buildup right there.
Oh, okay.
So you think this thing once crossed the river? Because in the first photo, it looked like where you were standing was like a destroyed portion of the wall, right there.
That's
right
what I
in
thought
the
too.
foreground.
Like it used to cross it.
I think that's just, there's a lot of that this is very rocky Mountain Creek. But I think this used to be a lot taller right here. Because you see that's been like washed away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure. There is stonework everywhere in this area, and also massive maple trees with 8-foot bases.
Wow.
And it's kind of one of the things I always hear about is there's no old growth in Vermont, and I found at least 5 of them in this area, and they're all dead now, but they're huge.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool find.
That's really amazing.
So yeah, the basically the wall, for those of you listening, it bridges over the part of the stream there with a giant lintel stone, and then is stacked on some other stones that are basically in the middle of these rapids. That's so cool.
Yeah, so the part of the stream is flowing underneath the wall through a square
opening.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. But then this is more stonework within some running water. This one, the stonework follows a path that crosses over here. There's a shallow point of the stream, and the stonework goes across and continues up and borders the path. You can kind of see it right there. It's pretty heavily buried.
Yeah,
and
that was tough. This is tough for me to see. So you're saying that line of boulders that's in the middle of the stream right there is actually part of the stonework?
Yes.
Okay.
I think this might be a fishing weir, which is what Native Americans used to create stone V's in order to capture eels and fish migrating upstream. But this is that's this right here. And I think that's carved.
Wow,
that looks
really
like a carved eyeball.
Yeah, look at that.
How big is that? What's the scale on that eye?
That eye is probably 4 or 6 inches wide.
Okay.
The boulder itself is pretty big.
Yeah. That's really cool.
And
it could be an inclusion somehow. Whoa.
yeah. Well,
Holy crap.
well, I was looking into the Azores, this is in the Azores, the same island I was on. This is called the Dragon Line. And when I saw this, I immediately thought of that.
Yeah.
That is really cool. So this is in the Azores, and this is what do they say? Who built this? You know, what's the ideas?
They don't know. They have people researching it, but a lot of the information is in Portuguese, and I'm still learning it.
Oh, okay.
But if anyone wants to watch a cool video, Azores Line Dragon.
All right.
That's a really interesting one. That one with the possible carved eye, that's somewhere up here. This is further down, and this kind of looks like a hognose snake.
Yeah.
You can see it right there. It slopes down into the water. That's a giant boulder, that one. You can see like there's probably like a 10-foot tree right there.
Yeah.
And from that point, stonework continues following the creek bed right there. Then it kind of curves up into the land, curves back down to the water, and just keeps going.
Oh, yeah.
And you can see like trees are pushing it up, trees are falling over on top of it.
God, those are some huge boulders in that wall.
Yeah. And it just keeps going down the creek. And you can see, again, that kind of same shape I was talking about. The stonework kind of...
The arc, yeah.
Yep, the arc. You see a lot of that. And I don't know, I've never seen Colonial construction like that. That's more artwork, I think. That's why I thought that Andy Goldsworthy artist, because he makes structures like that.
Hmm.
And it takes him a very long time to nail it. And say if you're a farmer and you're clearing a field, you're not going to take the time and effort to create something that detailed.
Right. Yeah, that's cool.
And yeah, it keeps going all the way down to like right about here. Some more serpent work.
Ah, look at that. Yeah.
Yeah, it goes right up into there, farm field there. Goes right up into it. And that's one thing I found researching, that when Champlain came and explored the Connecticut River Valley in 1609, he found the Native Americans already had cornfields here. And that's a lot of the myth too, not myth, but like a lot of the sayings that colonial people got here and cleared the fields in order to farm. But Champlain was here and found the land already farmland for maize.
Oh. So they didn't have to clear anything. They could just use the fields if they took them over or whatever.
Yeah. But there was a population collapse in the area because this was a trade route for the Native Americans from the coast, from Connecticut all the way up to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And in the 1620s, they had a plague that wiped out maybe 90% of the population.
Oh.
So by the time colonial people got into this area, it was around the 1750s. So that's over 100 years of forest growth that they came and cleaned up.
Oh, okay.
That's one idea I have.
Yeah.
But this area right here is all the photos I'm showing are one area. This is the stonework. This wall, I'm standing next to it, probably 5 feet tall. And it starts at that boulder, continues that way. And you see up behind it, it's all boulder.
Yeah.
Bedrock. And that led me to this. Everything I'm going to show in the next couple of photos are all within this walled area.
Okay.
This, I've looked into what this could be. It could be something called a prayer pile. Native Americans paying respect to people that passed or the land itself, and they place a stone down on top of a larger stone like this.
I definitely saw a number of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're you see a lot of those in the area. Then there's this one. Again, this is all within that walled area right here. And within the whole area, this is big stone mound.
Oh, yeah.
So that's inside. So the wall goes all the way around. Is it round or square or?
This?
No, the walled enclosure you were saying is within this.
It's squared, and they also made a reservoir right down this area. So the wall goes into the water. They did that in the 50s.
Sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this is just a huge boulders in this pile. I'm not really sure what to think of it, but as I was making this presentation, I realized there's more of these. I never really put them all together.
Yeah. I mean, could they actually be tombs? You know, we talk about this like.
The shape of this one is kind of pointing towards the winter solstice sunrise.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of long.
So it may actually have an entrance somewhere that's now buried. Is that what you're thinking? Yeah.
It's hard to say. Again, it's pretty heavily buried, but on the LiDAR map, you can see it really well. I didn't get LiDAR map image of this one. Sorry.
It's all right.
All right. But this is a close up of the wall around it.
Yeah, that's artistic. I agree.
Yeah. There's gaps in it where you can see daylight through it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you have that kind of shape right here.
Yep. I see it.
With a center stone in the middle. Then, I mean, you don't find rocks like this in the landscape, really.
Yeah,
this flat, long
flat ones. Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of made me question if, like, could it be quarrying stones to be used in the walls?
So, what are most of the rocks are sort of knobby, round. What are they? You just don't find flagstones, basically.
Yeah, like the Colonial style, they're more blocky, evenly built, and a few stones wide. A lot of the walls in the area are single wide, but stacked high, and just built differently. The construction is very different.
Yeah. Yep.
And this is a kind of within the same area, a few miles away. More of prayer piles, and there's probably in this one little area 12 or more, but loggers came in and kind of buried them all with debris. And all of them are around this.
Oh my gosh.
This, again, the opening where I'm standing is the winter solstice sunrise. Behind me is bedrock, like a very, very cliffy outcrop of mountainside. Then behind me in the photo is a wetland. You can see some of the wetland kind of seeping up right here underneath that boulder. And these stones, this one's probably 6 feet tall, wide, 5 feet tall. This one's about 5 feet tall and probably 10, 12 feet long. And there's stonework right there, like right in the corner.
Yeah.
The seam, you can see right here, the seam between these two boulders is really tight. And the walls are really flat.
Yeah, and then it's stacked on top of them too. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, you can see right there, stonework on top, and there's a tree growing right there. There's some more stonework around right here. But I think right here, this might have been taller at one point, but it's collapsed.
Yeah, it looks like it's just part of a wall or something that's been destroyed.
Yeah. It's just, and then the landscape it's in, there's rocks like this, but they're all kind of like jagged and kind of gnarly looking, but these look almost
like they've been cut. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is this whole thing so what we're looking at here with these two giant boulders with the flat faces, that are joined together. At the bottom of those boulders, is that a depression? Is that lower than the rest of the land around them?
Yeah.
Like it could have, like this could have been, say, a chamber or the opening to a chamber.
Yeah. It looks like at first I thought it was a cellar hole until I got closer. I'm like, I don't think it's cellar.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we're having some connectivity issues a little bit.
Yeah. Should we pause it?
I don't know. Keep going. It looks like it cleared up.
Yeah. Say what you just said again. We lost you there for a second.
Right in the front, there's not much stonework right here, and that's pointing towards the winter solstice sunrise.
Okay.
And that's why it kind of maybe this might be a chamber, or it could be like a sweat lodge, or
Okay.
I'm not sure what it could be.
Yeah.
But yeah, underneath here, there's a gap. I can't really see it because it's all water here, and I don't want to be kneeling down into really cold water to get good luck.
Well, that's really cool.
And this is kind of like what you guys saw on Smith Farm.
Yep.
Yeah, this is again within the same area. This is right next to the road. I was driving one day, looked over and saw this, and I was like, whoa, I gotta take some photos of that. And it starts up here, comes down, and it's huge, probably 6 feet tall, 10, 12 feet wide. And it's built with care. You can tell it's built with purpose.
Yeah.
It's not just some random stone pile.
Yeah. But I think this is also what Kyle was talking about. Like you just said, that's a huge structure, you know, it's 6 feet tall or whatever, but I would never have guessed that from looking at that photo. It's tough to capture some of this sometimes.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's why I've been kind of going towards video to document a lot of this, because it's easier to get scale with video.
Right. Yep. This video doesn't translate well with Zoom sometimes.
Yeah. That's all right.
Yeah.
Then there's another one right here, and there's a big piece of quartz right there.
Oh yeah.
This one, there's a road here, and while I'm standing on it, you can see how it's pretty steep.
Yes.
And below, there's a raging little river.
There's a river. Okay.
And that is just a big drop right down to the river. But from up here, you can kind of see it.
Okay,
And
so you're looking down on the little mound there. You're above the mound. I see.
I took that photo like right here.
Okay. Yeah. So it's almost invisible from above it. Yeah.
That's really cool. Wow.
I just randomly stopped one day, and because I saw a rock wall that rolled down the steep embankment. I was like, all right, something's gonna be down there. And then I saw this, turned the corner and saw that. I'm like, whoa.
Oh yeah.
It's like that looks like the stuff from Rochester.
Yes, it does.
It's amazing how they, I wonder about the purpose of that. That is a lot of work to do that.
And they're huge.
Yeah.
Like that right there, that's a giant boulder, multi-ton boulder. Same with that one.
Wow.
And when I was standing there, I was standing like right around here, like standing next to it. I was eye level, like right about here.
Oh, okay.
Man.
Yeah. Wow.
This is a cellar hole. And actually one of the serpent heads, the one that I had the photo next to the creek, and it went up about 50 yards. This is right connected to that. This is roughly at 2,000 feet elevation. And I was shown this area by this is on like a camp property. And the guy that's the head of the environmental resources showed me this, and they've had archaeologists come in and take a look at trying to document what's in the area. They labeled this as cellar hole, and they don't have any record of anyone being in the area.
Mm-hmm.
But next photo, see that tree right there?
Yeah.
That's that tree right there. And it's that little creek again. And that cellar hole is right here. The stonework comes down to a point right at the creek.
Yeah.
Man, those look like some large stones too.
Yeah. And where that serpent head is right here. And there's just a gap. And the stonework continues with this. You can see right there, it goes up. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, and I was walking around up here and I saw someone try to dig down, but it's all stone up here. So it kind of looks like this whole area is just one big stone mound with a solid hole in it, which is like the chamber with the winter solstice sunlight shining in. And there's the LiDAR map of the area. And you can see there's a wetland around it. And you can see the shape of it right here.
Yeah.
Like it was built to be raised out of the wetland.
Okay. Wow.
And I don't know any colonial people that would take the effort to do something like that. But then this one right here as well, that one, the stonework, the stones in this one are huge.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
That's directly across the street from that one. That's right there. The smallest stone in this one is like the biggest one I see in most walls. And then awesome. the guy that showed me this, he goes, we're not really sure what this one is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so this is just a wall, but it looks like you're looking at a corner of the wall. Is that right?
That's a corner.
Okay.
That photo is taken right here. And that goes probably about 70 feet back that way. And it's probably 30 feet wide.
Okay. So this is a mound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A flat
top
giant
mound.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah. Whoever did that represents a ton of work right there. That's a lot of work.
They have no history for it at all. I mean,
yeah.
Like who would build something like that and just like leave it to disappear?
Right.
But this kind of maybe like a representation of a turtle or a snake coming out of a wall.
Oh, okay. Like the head of a turtle coming out of the shell.
Yeah. Because a few other guys that researched the stuff like a lot longer than I have, that's some of their theories are that's what some of that stonework represents.
They see lots of effigies in the stonework. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could be. I don't buy it, but it could be.
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
That.
This is called the Quarry Pond. And I looked into the land of this area. I went to the town hall to find the deed record. And it was a farm until about the 1850s. And then the people that owned the farm, their son took over the land. And he made it into a soapstone quarry because there's a lot of soapstone in the area. And so this is affiliated with him. This is called the Quarry Pond. But I know some over here. You see that? I'll show that one a little bit later. But I saw some stonework in this right here, and I thought it was I saw it, and it's like, all right, I should go investigate the whole area because this looks pretty peculiar.
Yep.
And it's 80 feet wide right there.
So we're looking at a LiDAR map, and there's the quarry on the top, and then beneath the quarry, or to the south, I'm assuming, is this oriented north to south?
Yeah, to the south.
To the south of the quarry is a mound that is shaped almost like a
tadpole.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, like a tadpole. That's cool, and it's almost 80 feet wide at the widest part, like a droplet.
And then you've got a line on what could be a wall. You can sort of see it in the LiDAR beneath the line there. Okay, yeah. And then is that a road?
Total length of that wall is 776 feet.
Yeah.
No, it looks like a path.
Or 777.
Looks like a path going from the quarry pond down south between the two. Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's another stone pile right here.
Okay.
And right here.
But now, some of that could be from just remnants of the quarry.
Quarry stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But big you can see there's that one's huge. That one caught my eye. That's what made me stop. And I saw the wall that was connected to it. And I followed that. But you can see right here, I followed down to here, and the wall cuts across right here. There's a gap where they remove stone to make the road. See a lot of that. You just see like piles of stone. in that path.
Yeah.
Then I took a photo from the next photo I'm going to show is right here. The stonework comes down and it wraps up and over the I don't know what to call it. They say it's the quarry pile from the quarry, but you'll see.
Okay.
But who built a wall on top of the quarry pile?
Yeah, exactly. That photo is taken a little bit to the southeast right there. And you can see the wall going down.
Yep.
And it cuts across to the big stone pile right there. And you can see just
All those stones
everywhere.
Wow. Huh.
That's a 3-foot T-square, just for scale.
Yeah.
And that's the mound in the back.
God.
Yeah.
And
that thing
you
is
see a
huge.
lot of this too. There's some quartz right there, kind of peculiar looking stone. You see a lot of strange stones in the wall itself. Like I don't see that kind of stones out in the landscape. They're in the wall, but I never find them walking around the areas the walls are in.
Well, that's because they put them all on the wall,
Yeah.
right?
Well, there's still boulders everywhere.
All the weird rocks went into the wall.
So this is where I was standing for the photo. That's the wall coming down. And that's the wall coming up onto the quarry pile.
Ah, yeah. Look at that.
And the quarry, the quarry started around the 1850s. And most of the stone walls, according to like standard model, is between 1770 and 1840, 1830 for the sheep farming.
Yeah.
So in theory, this should be the opposite way around.
Right. The quarry pile should be on top of the old wall, not the old wall climbing up what they're calling the quarry pile, which makes it seem like neither one of them are those things.
Yeah, and what is that little wall going to do for sheep on that giant pile?
Yeah. Not much.
Why wouldn't they build around it instead of trying to go up it and just, I don't know.
Or just incorporate it or something. Yeah.
Golly, look
I
at
think
that.
it's more of everything kind of, a lot of the stonework integrates stuff like just giant stone piles like this, giant boulders.
Yeah, it definitely you can see that they're integrating natural things like
Yeah.
many of those, the serpent walls you're talking about, like it's not necessarily that they moved that first giant boulder to that spot. They just built the wall coming off of that big boulder. They're like, oh, here's a great boulder for a serpent head.
Yeah. Yeah. And you just see the size of the stones within.
Yeah.
Huge. And then that's again, 3-foot T-square, and the wall is like right there.
Right.
And this is more on traveling north. It's hard to see the wall there, but it's pretty fallen over, collapsed.
Yeah.
You see some quartz right there, but that's still that is the stonework continuing up over.
Yeah, see, that's what my photos all look like right there. I'm just like, wait a minute. I know there was some rock walls in there.
I have a lot like that too.
Freaking ferns. They cover up everything.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
That is the wall I walked the first time in the area, and that's what I found that, and that's definitely
Yeah.
So
that's placed.
there's like
special placement there. Yeah.
There's like windows in the wall made by flagstones crossing over to like more rounded boulders, and in those windows are placed very round stones or a piece of quartz in this case.
Yeah. That's really
And that quartz,
That's beautiful quartz.
I share this, and a lot of people think this is a representation of a buffalo, of like a buffalo sitting down.
Yeah.
Like you got a shoulder here, the back end here.
Now, could that be soapstone? Because it also looks like soapstone.
Could be. But then you see, like, I don't know, they're
use
just,
it to take a bath.
No, draw lines on steel with it. That's what we use it for. But sorry, what were you going to say?
I think you guys froze for a second.
Oh, yeah. We're just making dumb jokes. What were you going to say?
Oh, I don't remember. All right. But yeah, that one, that's pretty interesting right there.
That is. That's really, really beautiful again. Are we at a break yet? I think we're back at a break again.
Maybe.
Right?
I keep forgetting to set the timer.
Yeah, that's break time for sure.
Yeah,
All right.
sure. All right, man. This is awesome.
Yeah. All right.
We'll be right back.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, Brothers of the Serpent podcast. And we are looking at an excellent collection of photos of Josh Smart's research and field travels in Vermont, the New England area, of rock walls and chambers and other mysterious structures in the woods, the forests, and on the mountainsides of Vermont. So let's keep going here.
Right.
We're still around that quarry, right? This is still in that area?
This is it. This is it for the quarry area.
Okay.
But this is more just
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
random stonework in the area, incorporating boulders in the landscape. And again, you got holes.
Yeah,
You can
windows
see
through the walls.
through.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're everywhere. And it kind of looks like a jamble, but it's well constructed. This is above a road, and who knows how old this thing is. And this is more stonework. This is in a boulder field going up a mountainside. Like you can see, just giant boulders. It's heavily buried too. It's been collapsed. This area I've looked into as well. It was a homestead until the 1926. Then it was sold, and the person that bought it had grazing rights for their animals in the 30s and 40s. Then in 1967, it became a trust, and there's been no development on the land whatsoever. It's about 107 acres, and there's just a lot of stonework in this one area.
So a trust owns it, and they just don't do anything with it at all?
Yep, they do nothing with it.
Okay.
And some more stonework.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of stonework. If you see it collapsed, like this collapsed here, but right here it's pretty sound because it's on bedrock right there.
Right.
Now that looks like an eye. The way they got that round boulder in there with all the little round boulders all the way around it. It looks like a serpent. If you've ever owned a snake, I don't know, you can't own snakes really. I mean, but you can keep them trapped for a while. Because they're never yours. But if you look at their eyes really closely, the scales that go around their eyes are like really cool. They look like that. They're little round segments that go all the way around the eye.
You're talking about that round boulder in the middle of the big part there?
Yes, right there.
Okay, yeah.
It's like the serpent. But see how well those stones are shaped around that boulder?
Yeah,
I mean, that looks like a snake eye,
It does.
bro.
It
Yeah.
does.
I don't care what you say with you can't look at animals freaking shapes and random stuff. Like, that's a snake
There's
eye.
another one right there too.
Nah, I'm not buying that one. I'm just
This
kidding.
one, yes. This one, no. And some quartz right there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
This is right down the road from that one. This is stone pile. This right here. This is like a U-shaped stonework with this stone in the middle, with a wall that ends at this boulder right here. And this is, you can see the landscape. It's just boulders everywhere. And this is how close it is to the road. This is the Crown Point Road, Indian Road, right there. And there's a river right there. So it goes river, road, mountainside, wall that ends in a boulder.
Okay.
Then this is across that river. This is the area that this is state land. I've contacted the state to get the history of the land, and they sent me back just one article from the town it's in. Their historical society has a blog, and they said that in the 1700s, one of the British colonels or generals tried to bring a cannon up over this mountain, and they lost the cannon because the terrain is just, you can see it's very
rocky. Yeah.
Very rocky. And they were following the old Indian path. And I think this is what this might be, because this lines a path.
Oh.
You kind of see it. It's hard to see. It's been overgrown really bad. But
So is the cannon still out there somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, how do you lose a cannon? I don't care how rough the terrain is. I mean, we lost it, sir.
People in the 1800s said they saw it, and the last known sighting of it was in 1940 when this whole mountainside burnt from forest fire.
Oh. So it is still out there.
Kind of gives you the idea that this cannon just like bailed on him. It's hiding.
Well, they just left it, like fell apart. They were dragging over rocks, and like it was.
Yeah.
The terrain here is really tough. But yeah, you can see it's like a causeway, like a pathway. And that is, I've seen that a lot in the area. Very tough landscape with a little tiny path, but it has stonework right next to it, like right here.
Mm.
And this is a super steep mountainside. This is it's called a gulf, and on both sides it's almost vertical, and it just is crazy. It's just all giant boulders. Trees don't really grow that tall because there's not much topsoil for trees to get any size, really.
Yeah.
But I hiked this one because I found some images on the LiDAR map that were pretty interesting in this area here. But then I found the trail system. This is a LiDAR map of a mountain bowl. And this bowl faces southeast. And that pathway I found started down here and continue up this steep mountainside right here, and it goes over this ridge line down into this bowl. And this is the LiDAR image of the close-up. Came down right here from the west down into it, and this is what caught my eye was this square shape.
Square shape right in the middle of that bowl.
Right in the middle of the bowl. And you got this weird K shape right here. That's some stone row, stone wall. Wow. And you can see there's more square shapes.
Yep, I see them.
And there's a wall right here. But I hiked it. We get to the top, and I put the GPS marker right on dead center of that. Got there and found everything was heavily buried, but you can tell it's stonework.
Yeah.
Man, that's amazing, dude.
This is state land. Again, this is more state land. I've been trying to find any history about this land. There's nothing that I can find. And after contacting the state about the other one that could be the old Indian Trail, and they're just like, we don't really know. It's like, all right. So
stop asking us questions.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all you can really see. We're up there. I did not see any of this.
Yeah.
We were walking around this area, did not see that at all visible with naked eye standing on it.
Hmm.
And there's definitely some straight lines and 90-degree corners there, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually right there, I have a video of it. I own a photo. It looks like it's a giant lintel going across over on this side.
Oh, okay.
So I don't want to dig anything up because I'm not an archaeologist or anything like that. I don't want to disturb anything. I just take photos is all I do.
Yeah.
But I really want to dig down there.
Yeah, I know.
This is awesome, man.
There's something there.
Yeah.
So a lot of the stonework, I drive, my commute for work is from here to there. And I notice there's a distinct line where there's no more stonework and the stonework begins. I was trying to figure out, like, why is there no stonework around the Connecticut River where all the farms were? And I was thinking maybe it was a flood, maybe it's just soil deposit somehow, but nothing was really clicking, like why there's so much stonework everywhere above a certain line, but below that line, zero. It's weird. So I started looking at the history of the area, and I found out about Glacial Lake Hitchcock, which was here until pretty much the onset of the Younger Dryas. And it was here from about 3,000 years, 15,000 years ago to 12,500 years ago when the Glacial Dam in Connecticut burst and it lake drained, they think, in like maybe a few days.
Wow.
And the area I'm in, again, it's a natural corridor between this river valley and this lake valley. But when this was Glacial Lake Hitchcock, this was the Champlain Sea. So there's a direct connection to the Atlantic with this inland sea. Then to the west of that was, I think that the Glacial Lake, Missoula.
Yep.
Yeah, that was also connected. So this was just a giant, vast network of waterways. And I kind of realized some of the areas I was looking at, it kind of did look like below the stonework was like a shoreline almost. I kind of came up with the idea of maybe the stonework I'm seeing could have been built back when the lake was here, because I'm just trying to understand what I'm looking at. This is Meliscutney. This is the area I'm looking in, all kind of points towards this mountain. And during Glacial Lake Hitchcock, the mountain was surrounded by the lake. And there was this island right here. And the lake shoreline goes up about 600 feet. It kind of differs in the area where like the soil is a little bit softer. It's gone down a little bit more. And this map is from a geologist from Norwich University. He was very nice. He gave me a lot of great glacial maps. But again, a lot of the stonework I'm finding is along this pathway. And I think maybe even up this way too, because all this area where it's flat, there's no stonework whatsoever. It's all lining this area. But I saw this little island facing a Scutney. I'm like, well, maybe it could be something there. Let's throw a theory and test it.
Yeah.
So I went on a LiDAR map. I looked around, 600 feet right here. And above 600 feet, you can start seeing stonework. And there's no stonework below. I asked the geologist about that, and he said it's because the soil deposit of the lake made it so when the Colonial people got here, they didn't have to clear that area because there was no stone because it's so heavily buried from deposits from the lake. But I don't know. I was like, okay, but I had questions. So I went out and I walked up this right here. This is the view of a Scutney from that area. And the stonework is really heavily buried here. I'm surprised the LiDAR map actually picked it up. There's a lot of quartz in this one particular stone wall. You can see it's just rounded right over. It's buried almost completely. And that goes up like a natural spring. To the right here is just like a little trickle of water. And the beginning of this wall is this giant quartz boulder.
Oh, look at that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And that thing, I measured it. It's about 39 inches long. And it comes to a point right here. And it's like, Colonial people they wouldn't use that. And so that kind of left me having more questions. All right, there's stonework above the shoreline, and it's pretty strange for Colonial use because it starts there. It starts at that point. I can show you where that starts on the LiDAR map, right there. And there's some more stonework here. I can barely see that. It's so buried.
Yeah.
Same with this side over here. But yeah, that's that little natural
Yeah, it's
spring.
a ravine there.
It looks like there might be a wall along that ravine,
it
too.
does. Yeah.
That's this one.
Okay.
That's the one going up and down on the map?
Yep, that's this one right here.
Okay.
But yeah, I remember you saying something about that. You were like, yeah, so this is supposed to be walls cleared for farmland, but down where all the farmland is, there aren't any walls.
No, there isn't.
You have to
That's
climb
because
up.
they didn't need to clear for...
Right.
They didn't need to stack boulders down there where the farmland is.
Right. So they only stacked boulders up out of the farmland because they were doing farms.
That's right. 'Cause they needed to do that for farms. It's perfect sense.
Yeah, I was questioning, like, what's happening here?
Wait a minute.
And and when you're moving rocks to make a farm, you only need to move like 2% of the rocks
That's right.
to make your farm. As long as you can make some rocks in a stacked line, you can farm them.
You have a farm.
Yeah, that's the only way it works.
That's right.
But so I contacted the New Hampshire state geologist to ask him for maps of Glacial Lake Hitchcock for the New Hampshire side, because I only had maps for the Vermont side, just to test that theory out a little bit more.
Looks like he gave you some scribblings.
Yeah. This is Glacial map. Yeah, but this right here, that's where the lake was. And I know this area, so I'm like, all right. New Hampshire has a stone wall map LiDAR, stone wall map. Also, so people can just check a box and it'll show you all the stone walls in the state. And it also has LiDAR. So I checked the LiDAR map for the state, and I found this area right here. Again, you can see where the water was.
Yeah.
And you can see where the mountain starts. So there's a rock wall that starts right there, right at the shoreline. And luckily, this is a lot of ATV trails in this one area. That's the ATV trail right there. So I just walked up and checked this area out. And what I found was more odd stonework.
Oh, yeah.
And it just doesn't make any sense. Like that, you can see right up here, that goes up to this bedrock right here, continues up over it. This is kind of like gnarly looking rock again for what they use in the wall. And this connector right there, I haven't checked that area out yet, but this goes up to the bedrock. Then I started seeing rocks like this up above the bedrock, incorporated into the wall. This is just a strange looking stone boulder.
Yeah, it's got a weird shape.
Very weird shape.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kind of comes up to a point.
Yeah, kind of like a turtle, snapping turtle head or something.
Yeah.
It's a dolphin.
But
It is a dolphin. That's right.
Well, if there was an inland sea at the time, there were whales here. Whales tail in Burlington.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Whales in the mountains of Vermont.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that quartz.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That is directly above that. That's a square block of quartz.
Yep.
Rounded, again, that same construction, kind of like an eye.
Yeah. It's symmetrically encased
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the other rocks.
And there's another one. It's all the same wall, but this wall goes up like 2,000 feet. So I didn't go up that far.
Yeah.
Because I knew where I was walking. It was all that ATV trail. Above it became private property. But the wall ends at like overlook that faces Mount Scutney.
Huh.
So, and on the LiDAR map, there's a bunch of odd shaped things up on the LiDAR map where this wall ends.
Dang it.
So you need to climb up there.
Need to call up them landowners.
Yes. I've been trying just to see who owns the land so I can. And again, some more quartz around that area.
Yeah.
Just super white. And it kind of looks like marble almost.
It does.
So again, going with this idea that the stonework could be this is the area that made me think it could be a shoreline. because I was driving up this road right here. I saw a wall going in a boulder field. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. And that is just this no man's land. I contacted the town about the stonework in the area, the historical society, and they told me, yep, that was the farm. And they told me where the farm was. I'm like, oh, no. I'm talking about this, the area a mile south of that farm. And they didn't really write back to me after that. I'm like, it's like, all right. But I'll show you. That is the glacial waters again. And that's the location where this wall starts.
Okay. Right at the edge there again.
And right at the edge. And this one, there's a LiDAR map of it. Goes up, it turns.
Wait.
And ends right.
Wait a second. We're still waiting for the LiDAR map to load.
Oh, sorry.
Toggle the
yeah, it's frozen.
picture again. Go back and forth.
This one?
Yeah, now go back to the LiDAR map. There
it is. There it is.
All right. So that starts right there, climbs up the landscape right there, goes over this large bump right there, goes up, and just makes a turn to the west and just ends. And that's all it is. There's no stonework down south of it. It just goes up north to the west and just ends.
I'm impressed too with, like looking at it through the LiDAR. It's sometimes when you're walking through the woods and they're really buried or sort of have fallen over, you don't really, and because they're going up and down hills, you don't get the impression necessarily that they're very straight. But like a lot of these lines on the LiDAR, they're
really straight,
straight, and they just cross whatever terrain is in the way. I mean, they're not perfect lines, but it's impressively straight for all that distance, going up and down into those valleys and down those hillsides and over whatever boulders are in the way.
Yeah. Well, this is the landscape sin.
Yeah.
Good grief. Look at that.
This is when people say, I've been, talking to people, like, tossing out the idea that this stuff might be from that age range.
Yeah.
They said, well, if it is, you wouldn't see the walls because they would be burying debris. But this is a glacial deposit boulder field, and you still see all that.
All that. Yep.
So this wall continues. It goes right through a boulder field.
Yeah. So to make sure that people understand what you're getting at here, I think you're basically saying there was a glacial lake in this area, and we know roughly where the shorelines of that glacial lake were, and you've gotten geological maps from people to look at that possibility, and you're saying that for the most part, as far as I can tell, you're saying that the walls seem to never be below the shoreline of that glacial lake, always above it, and some of them seem to start right at the shore.
Yes.
Okay. Which could indicate that they were all built at the time that the lake was there, because they seem to acknowledge the shoreline of the lake, which we know and has been dated to Younger Dryas period, like before the start of the Holocene, right? Is basically what you're saying.
Yes, and also there, few presentations, a few books I've read. When the Younger Dryas event happened, there were people here before then, but when the Younger Dryas event happened, there was no one here until about 10,000 years ago. There's a gap of no people here. Because
yes, there's a gap, right?
Yeah. Then people came back in.
So wait a second here. If they were building these things during the time of the glacial lakes, where were the glaciers? I mean, the glaciers are there forming the lake. But
they were further north.
They're just further north. Okay.
Yeah. The glacial lakes are usually just to the south of the glaciers.
Mm-hmm.
Usually. There can be pools inside the glaciers, but yeah, if you're at a glacial lake, you're probably south of the glacial ice itself.
Okay. Because the from the map that you showed of the glacial lake, it's a really long lake, so it's just in a natural valley or something.
Yeah, it's a river valley, and also the depression from the weight of the glaciers. That's how the inland sea was made, and that's how the lake was made too. The land just was pushed down from the weight of the glaciers.
Yeah.
But when the land rebounded back, the inland sea drained out, leaving the lake.
Right.
And the glacial dam for Glacial Lake Hitchcock broke open and just drained. They think maybe in a few days.
Yeah. So then the other thing I would point out is if people came along later and built these walls, they could have built them into the valleys. And then when even later people came to farm those valleys, they got rid of the rocks in the valleys. So it always looks like the rocks stop or start at the
shoreline.
At the shoreline.
Yeah.
Possibility?
Maybe. Anything's a possibility.
True.
None of this stuff has been really looked at.
Yeah.
Besides through like NERA and like other small organizations. No like real academic work has been really done with it. Not that I can find, at least.
That was kind of what we were running into as well. When we were, in a very brief time of trying to look into this stuff while we were up there, you just sort of get this, academics think this was colonial work, and there are crazy people who think it's older than that. That's basically the response you get. And we, when in the Smith Farm area, we found I guess what would be called a cellar hole. Remember that?
Yep, I have a picture of it.
Yeah, and it was an interesting thing. I could see how somebody might say like, yeah, this was a farmstead or a homestead, and there was a house above this stone hole in the ground. Oh yeah, Kyle's got a photo of it right here.
Should I show the?
Yeah,
let's share it.
Let's share it real quick. Let's have to.
Well, we're gonna take over your screen share.
Real quick.
Go for it.
Oh wait, we could say multiple participants can share
No,
simultaneously.
Don't do that.
Okay.
Right there.
This.
Yeah, so that's me standing down in the.
Oh yeah.
In the cellar hole. And it's just.
Those are all over the place.
Yeah, it's tough to tell. I mean, there were flags. There seemed to be like out next to this. You could see like flagstone areas where somebody had like actually flagstone at the ground. They're it's obviously very eroded. Time was not kind to it, but and yeah, we found plenty of stuff like this. I had never heard the term you brought up. What was it? Prayer piles.
Yeah.
As we found plenty of like, what looked like originally a big boulder that was sort of sticking out of the ground. And then somebody had piled very neatly, in a lot of cases, a bunch of rock like that.
Yeah. Yeah, like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, I gotta get up to that spot.
Yeah.
You haven't been there yet?
Not yet.
Oh, man, you got to check it out. There's some really, and they're all very close together. Lots of just piles everywhere. And some of them are enormous.
There's a couple. Let's see.
Yeah.
There's Snake Mom and Snake Wife.
Yep.
But yeah, this one's awesome.
Yeah.
That one's really well built.
That one's huge too. It's
There's
just like
huge
so tall.
mounds.
Let's see. I'll throw up another one. This is the quarry we were at, but this is calendar. I thought this was calendar too. So let's see. Compare your picture. Does that look the same? I don't think that's
not the same one that he showed us. Yeah.
That's calendar one, I believe.
Calendar one.
The other one that we went to did not have a roof. It may have used to have had a roof, but the chamber itself was actually just like more like a well. But you could go through. You could walk through. There was a lintel stone at the entrance, but once you got in, it was open. But it may
just
have
collapsed.
Oh, it didn't. No, because unless somebody cleared it out. Right there. See how there's a lintel stone across the top, but once you get in, there's no roof.
Huh.
But you can see how it is starting to fall in. One of the walls is collapsing towards the other. I don't think it'll be there much longer.
Yeah, so
that's looking down into it.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I've not seen this one.
Yeah, it used to be covered. I thought this was calendar one.
So what we went to was marked on my map as calendar 1 and calendar 2, but
I thought this was calendar 1 and the other one was calendar 2.
I think so, yeah. But it's just, you don't know who's naming it on that map.
They were caves that the Vikings built.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually found both of these by using geocaching.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, on my geocache map, there was calendar 1 and calendar 2, and they were both labeled with instructions on how to find them. And
we never found
the geocache for either one of them, but we found the sites.
So were we really there?
Yeah, maybe not.
I've been in a lot of cellar holes and found geocache boxes.
Yeah.
one had like $50 in it. I'm like, oops, just leave that there.
Yeah, just put that back. Sure, buddy. Sure you did.
I did.
All right, well, keep on going.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of time left. You'll have to share your screen again.
Is it shared?
No, not yet.
Oh, not yet. Hang on 1 second.
Yeah, back to Zoom.
Yep.
There we go. Now
All
we're
right.
seeing it.
All right. So this is that wall that's in the boulder field. And it comes to end at that large boulder right there. It just abruptly ends surrounded by boulders. But above it, I saw these two. I saw that, and I saw that. It was like two very standout things. So I walked up and took a look and found those.
Wow.
That's a folding chair underneath it.
Oh man,
Holy
that's
crap.
big. That's huge.
Huge. And I don't know what to think of it. I think that's quartz right here.
That looks
Like
like
right
it looks to me like it used to be the same, like all together. All three of the boulders there were like one big boulder, but it's been fractured.
Yeah.
Yeah. And above that one is this one right here.
Wow.
This one is on top of the whole ridge line.
That's just sitting. Yes, that looks like an erratic.
Yeah.
It's been placed
definitely
there
is.
by ice or something.
But the stone wall ends right below it.
Okay.
And like this right here is probably eye level is right around here. So I think it's huge.
Yeah.
And there but it's on top of it overlooks the valley below.
Man, that's really cool.
Yeah.
It's just a giant glacial erratic, but it has weird features on it.
Yep, I can see
I don't
that.
know.
Yeah.
That stripe down it too, underneath that break is weird.
Yeah. But again, going back to LiDAR map, looking at the shoreline and just trying to see if I can see if that continues, trying to see if I'm crazy or if this is actually a pattern. You see the shoreline again right here, right to the east. There's the current Connecticut River, Glacial Lake Hitchcock shoreline, and it came up into this like gulf. And I thought it was a unique land structure, so I took a look because this is state land right here. That's a lot of this stonework is on state land. There's also a lot on private, but I can't go on that. But when I was here, I was going to check out this area, and I saw something right here. Another giant boulder with stonework going right to it. And this stonework is heavily buried.
That is awesome.
And I actually ran into the landowner when I was about to leave. His idea was he thought it was a barn. He thought it was the foundation of a barn because he's found plow parts around it.
Okay.
But I don't think that was meant for a barn.
Just build our barn next to that giant boulder.
Yeah.
We can lean it on it. Seen plenty of leaning barns in Vermont.
Yeah, me too. But it goes down this way, and there's a corner here, and it cuts back. And while I was talking to him, I walked over, and a lot of possible native walls have placed quartz in them. And I just walked over and just like grabbed a few pieces of quartz that just popped right out of the wall. And he's like, and he's never thought about doing that before because I thought all that stone was locked in. It's like, no, not really. So if you find quartz, you usually just remove it because it was placed in there later.
Oh.
So the theory goes.
Wow.
Yeah. But again, the lake, the lake shoreline right below this.
Okay.
And that stone is right below this kind of like overhang.
Mm-hmm.
What's this one? Again, looks like an eyeball.
Yeah. Looks like it used to have an inclusion there or something.
Yeah. But then these are just kind of random ones.
That is beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. From here, like the rest of the sites are ones that I've found that I've tried to find answers for and gotten nothing.
So they're like not your photos. Is that what you're saying? But
no, they're my photos.
Oh, they are your photos.
I can't find any records, no information about these.
Okay.
This is a giant stone dam, dry laid. There's some concrete because there's a road right here. There's some concrete right next to the road, but besides that, it's all dry laid, and a little stream above, maybe 5 feet wide, goes down this waterfall through the stone dam down to this boulder, which if it was for like a wheel for like a mill or anything like that, that wouldn't really fit.
Yeah, boulder's in the way.
Yeah. And that's the continuing to the other side of it.
Wow.
It's huge. It's probably
It's beautiful.
90 feet long, and from here up, 20 feet tall.
Wow.
I contacted the town it's in, tried to find any information about this. I went to the library, historical society. When I talked to the historical society, they didn't even know this thing existed. I sent them an email asking about it. I'm like, hey, do you guys know any information about this? Then I didn't hear anything for a month or two, so I called them, and lady picked up. I started talking to her, and she goes, oh, do you send me that dam? I'm like, yep. She goes, where is that? You don't know?
Oh, no.
Man, there's that.
But
I mean, that just tells you that there's so much out there that probably
it's just
nobody
been
knows
lost.
about. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But it comes to end down on the far end right here. And the end of it is this giant boulder that kind of looks like a wing.
Okay. I can see it a little bit.
See a little bit. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's again, it's one of those photos. It's hard
Yeah.
to capture.
It's really
But it's not the only dry laid stone dam in the area. There's this one. This is a different area. And this is, again, a little tiny stream, all dry laid, huge boulders used in the construction of this. And that's like a little culvert right there. But water doesn't run through it because the water broke down over on this side. And there's a deposit of soil on where the water flows down on the upstream. About 3 feet of soil built up, blocking the culvert.
That whole,
okay.
yeah. So you can see how big those boulders are in the other picture, man.
Yeah.
They're, like when
They're
you're
huge.
standing on it. Yeah.
And when you see like a colonial dam like this, usually they made like a block, square outer, and filled the interior with smaller stones, then capped it.
Right.
This is just giant stones, and there's no metal markings, like no like eye hook areas, no chain marks, and that's pretty much with all the walls and all the stonework. There's no signs of any metal, no chain marks, no quarry marks. It's just kind of mind-boggling. Then you got, this is markings. I'm not sure what to think of this. This is, you got round circles right there. Then you got dashes and score marks.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And the location of that is in a wall in this little like niche.
Huh.
So that's
And across the
inside that niche, those marks are?
Yeah, that's that stone right there.
Huh.
You see it right there.
Huh.
I
Don't know what to
I was
make of that
driving-
for sure.
No, me either. That's why this is kind of like the mysteries part. But right across the street from this is another we call it cellar hole. Right across the street from this, because this is lining a old dirt road way up in the mountains. Then this is part of a stone wall, and this is a spring well. There's water running out of it. You see right there.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's the inside of it.
Oh yeah.
And I'm
So
just
that's
driving
all
and looked
built up.
over. Yeah, that's built up, and it goes back deep into the land, and you can't see it.
Yeah, so the surveyors, I don't know what to call them, the researchers that went out and studied and mapped Smith Farm, the lady that headed that wrote a paper about the discoveries that they found out there, and in one of them she described a wall that was built over a small stream. Like the whole wall itself was like what you're showing here, like a tunnel.
Yeah.
And they had built it over top of this stream, and it meanders around, and then at the end of it, the stream's running out.
Really?
Yeah.
We
We didn't find that one. I thought I may have seen it the first time we visited before we had any idea what we were looking at.
Yeah.
Because I do remember something like a wall, a big thick wall, just ending with some water coming out of the end of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
That's a lot of this area. You see stonework incorporating like springs and rivers, and it's just a lot of stonework is around water.
And I can understand that from, say settlers, wanting to build a spring box or a dam or something like, that makes sense. But to build a wall structure over top of a stream doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that?
Yeah,
like following the stream and covering it is strange.
Yep.
Unless you were trying to grow tadpoles or something. I don't know what I don't know. You're trying to cultivate some kind of cave water creature.
Salamander trap.
Yeah, salamander trap. God, look at that.
This is on top of a mountain. This wall starts at bedrock and just continues down the mountain, and it travels the winter solstice sunrise alignment all the way down the mountain.
Wow.
And it incorporates bedrock. It's giant boulders. Like that is just a massive one right there. And that bedrock is huge. This is the mountain top.
Yeah. Man, that's beautiful too.
Again, you got the eyeball right there.
Is that a piece of quartz right there?
Yep.
Wow.
Got quartz and metal and stonework built up like encircling it.
Yeah.
And some quartz right there. See that right there? That's a place quartz.
Right.
Yeah,
it's
just sitting there with nothing on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can just go, you can point your hand in and take that right out.
It's not load bearing. Yeah.
No. Then below this mountaintop, this is on a power line, there's more bedrock. And on this side right here, there's a cliff. But on top of this bedrock is this stone circle.
Ah.
It has a standing stone right here, and like in the front. You can see the cliff bend back down here.
Yep.
And this overlooks the river valley pointing towards another mountain. And this standing stone, that point is kind of pointing towards the winter solstice sunrise. Then there's a piece of quartz right here too, kind of aligned with that standing stone and the sunrise.
Huh.
Now, how big is that? What's the scale here?
That's probably 4 to 5 feet wide.
Yeah, based on the leaves. That's...
Okay. Now, I do know that surveyors, when they're having to make surveys on top of bedrock, when they can't, say, put a stake in the ground, will make stone cairns. Mm-hmm. And stack it where they can place a stake that's being held by the small stack of rocks. So I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. But I don't know if there's a standing stone alignment in there. Probably not surveyors doing that, but...
Sorry, I don't know. I don't know what this thing is.
Yeah, you said there was a power line there, and it's going over this bedrock, and I'm thinking, okay, well, there definitely have been surveyors up there doing something, and so I don't know. Yeah, it'd be something to keep an eye out for, right? Yeah.
Well, right directly behind this, I'm sitting on it, is like a flat boulder, like it's flat, and tilts towards this stone circle. And there's definitely like, it looked like it was either placed there or this is built beside it on purpose. I sat down on it and didn't really realize I was sitting on it until I stood up and turned around. I'm like, oh, that looks like it's part of this. I don't have a photo of that, cool. So apologize for that.
That's all right.
But further down the power line this way, I think that is towards the north, is a stone wall that incorporates bedrock. This is underneath the power line again. And that's just a giant boulder in the landscape, and the wall goes to it and continues on the other side.
Yeah.
That looks like a little window to the right there. Keep going to the right in the wall. Is that a window through the wall? Right. Keep going. Right there.
Over here.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. There's a line here. There's one over here. And again, you got that kind of center stone with stonework encircling it.
Yep.
And right there, right below that. And then you can see the landscape. It's all boulders. And below down here is a hunting camp. And an archaeologist in New Hampshire told me about aerial historical photos. There's a website. You just type in a location and it gets you historical data with photos. So you can click years that they took photos and see the landscaping changing over time. So I looked in this area, and there was nothing here until 2009 when the hunting camp was made. And also the information from the deed records, it was only sold 3 times. And the first sale was in the 1850s, well after the sheep boom in the area. And then it was sold again in the 1890s to the state of Vermont, I think, for the power line. Then it was sold in the 60s and again in 2009 or 2008 when the camp was made. So there's a bunch of stonework in the area that has no history.
Huh. Okay.
And this wall starts at this bedrock right here. And you were talking about water and stonework with water. There's a stream right here that there's a little hole for that stream to go out under within the wall.
That's really cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
All right, man. That's perfect timing.
Yeah.
We were just
Well
at the
done.
end of the time, into the sands of time.
So what are your future plans? You're going to keep doing this? Is there lots more state land you can look at, or are you going to start trying to get hold of private landowners? Or
there's a lot more state land.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more areas. I found one of the cellar holes that was built up out of the wetland. Above that is a mountain that I found a bunch of circles. They range between 30 to 80 feet, and they're almost perfect circles all over the landscape. I have no idea what those are. Really want to get to look at them, but it's a hike.
Yeah. And so the historical societies haven't been much help, or have you? They haven't, but you've gotten help elsewhere.
I got help elsewhere. Historical societies they just give me history until they're like, this is what we think was here.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the land I'm going on doesn't really have much history. It's too rough to be farmland.
Do you have advice for people who are living up in that area on how they might get started on looking at this stuff? Like, what would you tell people to, like, how do I get into this? You know?
Start looking in your area, drive around, look for interesting mountains or peaks. Go onto a LiDAR map, because every state around here has a LiDAR map now. Like Maine has one, Connecticut has one, New Hampshire has one, New York has one. And just start using a LiDAR map and start recognizing what you're seeing on the LiDAR map and just start exploring. You start seeing walls, what the walls look like on the LiDAR map, and you go out and keep exploring.
Yeah.
Just around here, it seems endless. I see something, go look, and it's like, yep, something else.
Right.
That's crazy.
And then you have a group. You said you're on a Facebook group. Is that right? What is it? Nera?
Few Facebook groups.
Yeah.
Nera doesn't have a Facebook group,
Okay.
but I'm a member of that organization. They do more in-depth studies. More of the Facebook groups are people that, like me, that just go out and explore and post what they find.
Yeah.
and there's a lot of interesting stuff. And oddly enough, like a lot of it, like down Massachusetts and New York, Canada, all same kind of thing. Is all above the old glacial waters.
Wow. That is really cool, man.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to look you up when we come up there next time. So
yeah,
we can...
for sure, dude.
Definitely.
Every time we've gone up there, we're like, let's go find some ancient stuff, and then it's hard because we don't live there. And but yeah, I'd love to hear what you think about Smith Farm if you can get out there.
I know. I've seen a lot of photos, seen videos. Actually, saw a documentary where the University of Vermont, the Smithsonian, forestry experts, and archaeologists all went and studied it.
Yeah.
And they're like, we don't know what any of this is.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's cool.
Okay. Yeah.
That must be pretty recent, huh? How long ago was that?
2006, 2007.
Oh, how did we miss that?
That's a documentary series called Hidden Landscapes. That's on Vimeo. You can purchase it. It's all about the Northeast and like the work people have been doing, and working with tribes and just trying to understand what things are.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I still remember what that old I guess he wasn't a park
forestry
ranger,
service.
Forestry service guy. He was like, well, I think Smith was just a neatnik. That's what he told us. He wanted his laborers to stack up them rocks, and they needed to be neat.
Yep. Well, they went elsewhere to work.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's...
Actually, I know the guy. I've done work for the head of the forestry department in this county. I've asked him questions, never writes back.
Oh yeah. He doesn't. He's like, oh God, here we got another one of those guys.
Yeah. It's like another nut.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, thanks so much, Josh. That was great.
Yeah, we really
appreciate it.
appreciate your research. It's really awesome. Thanks for bringing that to the table, buddy.
You gonna build a website or anything, or you just still collecting stuff? Just
Still collecting.
photos? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I definitely want to thank you guys. You guys definitely help with this. With like the Discord, I can talk to so many people to talk to in there and bounce off ideas.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't really get into this unless I found that your podcast.
Man, that's
just
cool.
kind of I had questions and you guys had answers.
Or
What?
just more questions. Which podcast are you listening to?
Well, you had questions that helped me have more questions.
There you go. That's what I like to hear. That's right. So if anybody's interested in seeing more of Josh's stuff, you can join our Discord. He is in there. He does post photographs on a regular basis. You're usually using, what's the channel you post a lot of that stuff in? Native Stonework. Yeah, Native Stonework channel. So yeah, thank you so much, Josh, and keep us updated. Emails or on the Discord, whatever.
Yeah, we'll do.
All right. Thanks for coming on.
All right, thanks.
Good night, everybody. That's not how the ending goes.
Well, we're gonna do an ending.
He doesn't get to say it.
Oh, we want to do the ending where he gets to say part of it?
This is not tradition.
Okay, you're right.
What's that?
You got to join us on the ending. So I'll need to do my ending spiel here. People can get a hold of us, brothersoftheserpent@gmail.com. Check out the website, brothersoftheserpent.com. The Discord chat we were mentioning can be found. The link to it can be found on that website, as well as the encyclopedia, the glossary, the snakeskins. And if you want to support the show, you can join the Snake Bros Pyramid Scheme, which sends us straight to pyramids. And that doesn't mean just Egypt, but it actually means, indeed, like looking for things like what Josh is doing. Any kind of field trip we do, we call that straight to pyramids. So you can do that through PayPal and Patreon.
Yeah.
We got a...
Speaking of that, we have an associate executive producer, Antonio Kezlevich.
All right.
Kezlevich, which I struggled to say properly. But thank you very much, buddy. $50.
Thank you. Thank you
says,
so much.
hello, snakes. Just finishing listening to UFOs Part 8. And these series have opened up my eyes and mind to so many new possibilities and fun, thought-provoking ideas that never crossed my path. You guys are a true hidden gem. Love from Sweden.
Thank you so much.
buddy.
Thank you. And thanks to Jeff for running the Discord and all the admins in there. Thanks to History Shift, who makes all of our YouTube videos. So if you're watching this on YouTube, which you should, because Josh showed us a lot of images. So hopefully, even if you listen to it, you should check it out on YouTube. History Shift made the video, so thanks to him. And thanks to Soraya from Where Did the Road Go, Ben from Uncharted X, and all of you listeners out there. We love you guys.
Always have.
Always will.
Good night, Adamu.
Good night.
Supposed to say get back to work.
Dang it.
Get back to work. Sorry.
There you go. There it is.
On the spot.
All right.
Thank you very much.